I still remember the night my world ended. I walked into the grand ballroom smiling, searching for Ethan. I thought he had planned something special for me. He had said, "Dress beautifully tonight, Bella. It's important." I believed him. Then I saw him. He was on one knee. But not in front of me. He was kneeling before my sister. Olivia covered her mouth like she was shocked, but I knew that look. It wasn't surprise. It was victory. "Ethan." My voice cracked. "What are you doing?" He didn't even look guilty. He slid the diamond ring onto her finger and said loudly, "Olivia Hartley, will you marry me?" She whispered, "Yes," and the room exploded with applause. I felt like I couldn't breathe. "This isn't funny," I said, walking closer. "Ethan, get up." He finally looked at me. His eyes were cold. "Bella, stop." "Stop what?" I asked. "We've been together 7 years." Olivia stepped forward, holding his arm. "Bella, please don't ruin this." "Ruin this?" I laughed, but it sounded broken. "He's my boyfriend." Ethan stood up slowly. "We need to talk." "Then talk," I demanded. "Now." He sighed like I was embarrassing him. "You were never enough, Bella." The words hit harder than a slap. "Not enough." I repeated. "I supported you when you had nothing. I defended you when Dad doubted you." "That was the problem," he said flatly. "You're too emotional. Olivia understands business. She understands ambition." I turned to my sister. "How long?" She avoided my eyes. "It just happened." "Don't lie to me," I snapped. "How long?" 6 months, Ethan answered instead. 6 months. I looked at my parents. "Mom. Dad. Say something." My mother adjusted her necklace. "Bella, calm down. This is a happy occasion." "Happy?" I whispered. My father said quietly, "Ethan's family is important to ours. Don't cause a scene." "So that's it?" I asked. "You're choosing them." "Don't be dramatic," Olivia muttered. I stared at her. "You're my sister." "And he's my fiancé," she replied. Something inside me cracked. I looked at Ethan one last time. "Did you ever love me?" He hesitated. Just for a second. "I thought I did." I nodded slowly. "I hope you're happy." I walked out before they could see me break. Outside, the air felt too cold. I got into my car, shaking. I gripped the steering wheel and screamed, "Why wasn't I enough?" My phone buzzed. A message from Olivia. "I'm sorry. You'll understand one day." I threw the phone onto the passenger seat. "I will never understand." Tears blurred my vision as I drove. My chest hurt so badly I thought I was dying. Headlights flashed toward me. A horn blared. I didn't react fast enough. Everything went black. As darkness swallowed me, I whispered, "If I ever get another chance, I won't love blindly again." I woke up gasping. I sat up so fast that my head spun. "I'm alive." I whispered. I looked around. My old bedroom. The pale blue curtains. The cracked photo frame on my desk. The graduation picture of me and Olivia still hanging straight on the wall. "No," I breathed. "This isn't real." I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. My hands were shaking. The date glowed on the screen. 3 years ago. 3 years before the engagement. 3 years before I died. "This is impossible," I muttered. I stood up and walked to the mirror. My reflection stared back at me, softer, younger, untouched by betrayal. I touched my face. "You're not broken yet." My heart pounded. I opened my drawer and found my old planner. The pages confirmed everything. Meetings I remembered. Dinners I regretted. The charity gala where Ethan first met investors through me. Tears filled my eyes. I came back. A knock sounded on my door. "Bella." My mother's voice called. "You're going to be late." I froze. Her tone was normal. Not distant. Not cold like it had been after the engagement. I'm coming, I answered carefully. My voice sounded steady. I didn't feel steady. My phone rang. Ethan. I stared at his name on the screen. My stomach twisted. In my last life, I would have answered with excitement. This time, I inhaled slowly before picking up. Good morning, beautiful, he said warmly. Did you sleep well? I closed my eyes. I could hear the lie in his sweetness now. I did, I replied softly. Did you? Of course. I dreamed about our future, he said with a light laugh. Our future. I almost laughed too. What are you doing today? He asked. I have meetings, I said. Why? I was thinking we could have dinner tonight. I miss you. I remembered this day. He would cancel later, saying he had work. He would actually meet Olivia. That sounds nice, I answered gently. I trust you. There was a pause. Of course you do, he said. After we hung up, I lowered the phone slowly. I know everything, I whispered to myself. Every word. Every move. I sat on my bed and forced myself to think clearly. In 3 months, he would ask me to invest in his expansion plan. In 6 months, he would start seeing Olivia secretly. In 1 year, he would humiliate me publicly. And I would die heartbroken. No, I said firmly. Not this time. My phone buzzed again. A message from Olivia. Lunch later. I stared at it. In my last life, I never questioned her closeness with Ethan. This time, I would watch. I would listen. I would prepare. I won't confront them, I told myself. I'll outplay them. For the first time, I felt something stronger than pain. Control. I stood up and faced the mirror again. You loved blindly, I said quietly. Now you'll see clearly. My reflection didn't look innocent anymore. It looked awake. And this time, I wasn't going to be the victim. I was going to rewrite everything. I acted like nothing had changed. At dinner, I laughed when Ethan said, "Remember when Bella cried over a broken coffee machine?" That was dramatic, Olivia added with a smirk. I smiled. I was stressed. Unlike some people, I actually work. Ethan squeezed my hand under the table. She works too hard. I keep telling her to relax. I nodded sweetly. You always know what's best for me. Inside, I was counting how many times his phone lit up. 3 times in 10 minutes. Each time, he turned the screen away from me. Who's texting? I asked lightly. Just work, he said quickly. Olivia looked down at her lap, hiding a smile. I sipped my water and said nothing. Later that week, I met Sophie at our usual cafe. She leaned forward and whispered, I don't trust him. I didn't pretend to be shocked. Why? He avoids eye contact when I mention Olivia, she said. And he keeps asking about your company's finances. I stirred my coffee slowly. What exactly did he ask? He wanted to know how flexible you are with investments, she replied. Bella, are you funding something for him? Not yet, I said carefully. She grabbed my hand. Don't. Something feels wrong. In my past life, I would have defended him. This time, I nodded. Tell me everything you've noticed. She blinked. You're not arguing. No, I said quietly. I'm listening. That afternoon, Ethan came to my office with a bright smile. Baby, I have incredible news, he said, placing a folder on my desk. My expansion plan is ready. I opened it slowly. I already knew every page. I just need your company's backing, he continued. With your name attached, investors will line up. I looked up at him. How much are you asking? 2 million to start, he said quickly. It's safe. I promise. I remembered losing everything because of that promise. I'll need time to review this, I replied. His smile faltered. Time. Bella, we talked about this. I know, I said softly, but I want my legal team to examine the risks. There are no risks, he insisted. Every investment has risks, I answered calmly. He stepped closer. Don't you trust me? I held his gaze. Of course I do. That was the lie. But trust doesn't replace paperwork, I added. He forced a laugh. You're being cautious. I'm being responsible. He studied my face like he was seeing me for the first time. When can I expect an answer? He asked. Let's wait, I said with a gentle smile. Rushing would be foolish. Silence filled the room. For a brief second, I saw it. Fear. Not anger. Not love. Fear. He needed me more than I needed him. And for the first time, I wasn't the desperate one. I walked him to the door and kissed his cheek lightly. Be patient, I whispered. As he left, I locked my office door and exhaled slowly. I'm done playing the victim, I told myself. If they wanted to deceive me, I would let them think I was blind. But this time, I was watching everything that I wasn't supposed to hear it. I stepped into the garden to take a call, but I stopped when I heard my name. Olivia's voice was low. Once Bella signs the contract, we won't need her anymore. My chest tightened. Ethan answered, keep your voice down. She trusts you, Olivia whispered. She'll sign. I know, he said. After that, everything moves to our side. Our side. I felt my hands tremble, but I didn't move. I didn't cry. I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Olivia laughed softly. She's always been too soft. Ethan replied, that's why this works. My heart broke again, but this time it didn't shatter. It hardened. I stepped back before they could see me. At dinner, I smiled at them both. Olivia asked, Bella, you've been quiet. Are you okay? I'm perfect, I said sweetly. Just thinking about the future. Ethan squeezed my hand. Our future. I met his eyes. Of course. He didn't realize I meant mine. Later that night, I stood in front of my mirror. Do I forgive them? I whispered. My reflection stared back at me. Or do I destroy them? The word destroy scared me. I'm not cruel, I told myself. I'm not like them. But I wasn't weak anymore either. I replayed the recording. Their voices filled the room. She's too soft. That's why this works. I wiped my tears angrily. No more. The next morning, Ethan came over with coffee. Have you reviewed the contract? He asked casually. I'm close, I replied. Why are you rushing? Timing matters, he said. Investors are waiting. Then let them wait, I answered calmly. He studied me. You've changed. I smiled. Have I? Before he could answer, my phone buzzed with a message from Sophie. Call me. Urgent. I excused myself and stepped away. What happened? I asked. I heard something, Sophie said quickly. Ethan met with Olivia yesterday at a private office downtown. I know, I replied quietly. You know, she repeated. Yes, I said. And I'm handling it. There was a pause. What are you planning? I'm not attacking, I said. I'm preparing. That afternoon, I sat alone in my office and searched one name. Alexander Monroe. In my past life, he crushed Ethan's company within a year. He was powerful, strategic, feared. I dialed the number listed for his firm. A woman answered, Monroe Holdings. I'd like to request a meeting with Mr. Monroe, I said steadily. Regarding a private investment opportunity. There was a brief silence. We'll review your request. Tell him it concerns Ethan Caldwell's expansion, I added. Her tone shifted. Understood. When the call ended, my heart raced. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was moving first. That night, Ethan texted me. Don't forget I love you. I stared at the message. I typed back slowly. Of course. Then I turned off my phone and whispered to myself, let them think they're winning. Because the first crack had already formed. And this time, I was the one creating it. I met Alexander Monroe in a glass office that overlooked the city. He didn't smile when I walked in. Miss Hartley, he said calmly. You requested this meeting. Yes, I replied, sitting across from him. Thank you for seeing me. You mentioned Ethan Caldwell in your message, he said. Why? I held his gaze. Because I want to invest separately from him. He leaned back slightly. That's unusual. You're his partner. Not anymore, I said evenly. His eyes sharpened. Explain. I chose my words carefully. His planning an aggressive expansion. It looks strong on paper, but it relies heavily on borrowed capital and projected partnerships that aren't secure. And you know this how? He asked. I reviewed the numbers, I replied. Personally. He tapped his fingers on the table. Why betray your fiancé? I didn't flinch. Because he betrayed me first. Silence filled the room. That's personal, he said. I deal in business. So do I answered. And his business is unstable. He studied me like I was a puzzle. What are you offering? He asked finally. Information, I said. And capital. But not to support him. To position against him. You're asking me to move against Caldwell. I'm asking you to observe closely, I corrected. When his structure cracks, I want to be standing with you, not under him. He stood up and walked toward the window. You're different from what I expected, he said. How so? You're not emotional, he replied. I almost laughed. You don't know that. He turned to face me. If I agree, this partnership stays confidential. It will, I promised. And if you hesitate later, he asked. I won't, I said firmly. He walked back and extended his hand. Then we have a preliminary understanding. I shook it. His grip was steady. As I left his office, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. Later that evening, Ethan showed up at my apartment unannounced. Have you signed it? He asked immediately. Signed what? I replied calmly. The contract, he said impatiently. Bella, investors are pressing me. I'm still reviewing it, I said. Why are you delaying? He demanded. You said you trusted me. I do, I answered softly. But trust doesn't cancel risk. He ran a hand through his hair. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Or safer, I replied. He stared at me. Are you doubting me? I'm protecting my company, I said. That shouldn't threaten you. It doesn't, he said quickly. Too quickly. I stepped closer and touched his arm. If your plan is solid, waiting a little longer won't hurt. His jaw tightened. Time matters. It always does, I agreed. He looked frustrated, almost anxious. That fear again. After he left, my phone buzzed. A message from Alexander. My team reviewed initial data. You're right. There are weaknesses. I typed back. Good. Let's prepare quietly. He replied. You're playing a dangerous game. I smiled slightly. I know how it ends, I thought. For the first time, I didn't feel like a girl begging for love. I felt like a woman building strategy. And Alexander didn't look at me like I was fragile. He looked at me like I was capable. That changed everything. When Ethan told me there would be a family celebration, I already knew. Dress nicely, he said over the phone. Tonight matters. I'm sure it does, I replied calmly. I arrived at the hotel ballroom 10 minutes early. My parents were greeting guests. Olivia stood near the stage in a pale gold dress. You look nervous, I told her quietly. She blinked. Why would I be? You'll see, I answered. Ethan took the microphone. Thank you all for coming, he announced. Tonight is special. I folded my hands in front of me and waited. He continued. Some relationships teach us valuable lessons. Bella and I realized we weren't right for each other. Whispers spread through the room. I heard someone say, isn't she his girlfriend? Ethan stepped toward Olivia. But sometimes, the right person has been beside you all along. He knelt. Gasps filled the air. Olivia covered her mouth. Ethan. Olivia Hartley, he said loudly, will you marry me? Yes, she answered, her voice shaking perfectly on cue. Applause exploded. I stood still. My mother refused to look at me. My father clapped politely. I felt every eye in the room land on me, waiting for tears. Instead, I smiled. I even started clapping. The sound of my hands shocked the people closest to me. Olivia glanced at me, confused. Ethan slowly stood up, staring. I picked up a glass of champagne and walked toward them. "Congratulations," I said clearly. "Bella." Ethan began. "No," I interrupted gently. "You were right. We weren't right for each other." Olivia whispered, "I didn't mean to hurt you." "It's fine," I replied smoothly. "Love is unpredictable." My mother finally approached me. "Bella, don't make a scene." "I'm not," I said. "Why would I?" Ethan looked uneasy. "You're taking this well." "I respect your decision," I answered. "You both look happy." The guests relaxed slightly, but the tension remained. I raised my glass higher. "To new beginnings." They hesitated before lifting theirs. Inside, I felt something cold settle in my chest. They thought they were humiliating me again. They didn't know I had already signed the withdrawal notice that morning. Every financial guarantee tied to Ethan's expansion was gone. Every connection he relied on from my company had been redirected. He just didn't know it yet. After the applause faded, he leaned closer and whispered, "You're not upset?" I met his eyes. "Should I be?" "You loved me," he said softly. I tilted my head. "Did I?" His jaw tightened. Olivia slipped her hand into his. "Let's enjoy tonight." "Yes," I agreed. "You should." I stepped back into the crowd, listening to the whispers. "Poor Bella. She looks calm. Is she in shock?" I wasn't in shock. I was prepared. For the first time, I wasn't the girl being replaced. I was the woman who had already moved the pieces. And when this celebration ended, their real surprise would begin. 3 weeks after the engagement party, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Sophie called first. "Have you seen the news?" "I'm looking at it now," I said, scrolling through headlines. "Ethan's expansion is under investigation," she continued. "They're saying the numbers don't match." "I heard," I replied calmly. By noon, another headline appeared. Investors were withdrawing. An hour later, I received a message from Alexander. "The market reacts quickly to weak foundations." I typed back, "You moved faster than I expected." He responded, "I only exposed what was already there." That evening, Ethan called. I answered on the third ring. "Did you do this?" he demanded without greeting. "Do what?" I asked softly. "Investors are pulling out," he snapped. "Someone leaked internal projections." "Maybe they saw the risks," I replied. "You were the only one with access," he accused. I leaned back in my chair. "You chose Olivia. Why would I help you now?" Silence. "You're punishing me," he said finally. "No," I answered. "I'm protecting myself." "You promised to support me," he argued. "I promised when we were partners," I corrected. "You changed that." He exhaled sharply. "This isn't over." "It never is," I said quietly before hanging up. The next day, I attended a business conference. Reporters approached me. "Miss Hartley, your company's recent acquisition surprised many people," one said. "It was a strategic decision," I replied. "Is it connected to Caldwell's failing project?" another asked. "I focus on my work," I answered evenly. As cameras flashed, I felt a strange shift. They weren't asking about my heartbreak. They were asking about my leadership. Later, Olivia showed up at my office unannounced. "You need to fix this," she said the moment I stepped into the meeting room. "Fix what?" I asked. "Ethan is under pressure," she insisted. "Victor Langford withdrew his support this morning." I almost smiled. Victor had always been ruthless. In my past life, he aligned with whoever looked strongest. "Maybe Victor sees instability," I said. Olivia slammed her hand on the table. "Stop pretending you're innocent." "I'm innocent," I replied calmly. "I didn't force him to overextend." "You're jealous," she spat. "Of what?" I asked. "Debt." Her face flushed. You think you've won? This isn't about winning, I said. It's about consequences. She hesitated. He's stressed. We're fighting constantly. That sounds difficult, I said softly. She stared at me like she wanted me to break. I didn't. That night, Ethan called again. Victor cut ties, he said, his voice strained. Without him, the banks are nervous. I'm sorry to hear that, I replied. You're enjoying this, he accused. No, I said honestly. I'm just not saving you. After we hung up, I stood by my window and looked at the city lights. My phone buzzed with a notification. Isabella Hartley named Rising Industry Leader. I opened the article. They called me visionary, strategic, independent. For the first time, I wasn't described as Ethan's girlfriend. I was the headline. And as his world started shaking, mine was finally steady. Karma didn't shout. It unfolded quietly. And I simply stepped aside. Olivia came to my apartment alone. When I opened the door, she looked exhausted. Can I come in? She asked quietly. You already did, I replied, stepping aside. She stood in my living room, twisting her hands. Please help Ethan. He's under pressure. I studied her face. For a second, I saw the same expression she wore the night she said yes to him. Under pressure. I repeated. He hasn't been sleeping, she said. The banks are calling non-stop. Banks? I asked calmly. He had to take short-term loans, she admitted. Just until investors return. I crossed my arms. Dangerous loans. She didn't answer directly. He thought things would stabilize. I walked closer. Did you ever feel guilty? She looked confused. About what? About betraying me, I said evenly. Her silence stretched. I didn't steal him, she muttered finally. He chose me. That wasn't my question, I replied. She looked away. We fell in love. While he was with me, I reminded her. You're still jealous, she snapped suddenly. That's what this is. I laughed softly. Jealous? Of what? A collapsing empire. You think I want him back? I asked. She hesitated. Don't you? No, I said firmly. Her eyes narrowed. Then prove it. Help him. Why should I? I asked. Because you loved him for 7 years. And he erased me in 7 seconds, I answered. She took a shaky breath. If his company fails, we lose everything. I held her gaze. You mean you lose everything? She flinched. You're cruel, she whispered. No, I corrected. I'm realistic. She stepped closer. If you push this further, he'll go bankrupt. I didn't respond. That night, after she left, I called Sophie. Did you know about the loans? I asked. Yes, she said carefully. They're high interest. If he misses one payment, it's over. I sat in silence. If you intervene now, she continued, you could stabilize him. And if I don't? I asked. Then he falls. I stared at the city lights outside my window. I imagined signing one document and saving him. I imagined stopping Alexander from releasing the next report. I imagined giving Ethan one more chance. Then I remembered standing in that ballroom, clapping while my heart broke. I won't rescue them, I said quietly. Are you sure? Sophie asked. Yes. After we hung up, my phone buzzed again. A message from Ethan. I never meant for this to spiral. I typed a reply, then erased it. Instead, I locked my screen. I wasn't the reason his company was collapsing. His pride was. His greed was. His betrayal was. I walked to my mirror and looked at myself. If you save him, I whispered, you'll bury yourself again. So I chose silence. Not revenge. Not mercy. Silence. And I let the consequences continue unfolding without my interference. The rain was loud against my apartment windows when Ethan knocked. I almost didn't open the door. But I did. He stood there soaked, hair messy, eyes tired. Can I come in? You already did, I said quietly, stepping aside. He walked inside slowly like he was afraid I would change my mind. I made a mistake, he said immediately. I folded my arms. You usually do when you start with that sentence. He swallowed. I chose the wrong sister. The words hung between us. My chest tightened, but I kept my voice steady. Did you rehearse that? No, he said quickly. Bella, I mean it. I walked to the kitchen and poured 2 glasses of water. Drink. You look like you haven't slept. He took the glass. You're still kind to me. I'm practical, I corrected. He stared at me. I thought you would be angry. I was, I said. Once. Silence filled the room except for rain hitting glass. I miss you, he said suddenly. I laughed softly. You miss convenience. That's not fair. It's honest, I replied. He stepped closer. I want another chance. I didn't answer immediately. I thought about dying in my last life. About waking up again with the memory of his betrayal. You don't get another chance, I said finally. Why? He asked. You still love me. That's where you're wrong, I said. He looked hurt. You're lying. I'm not, I replied. I loved who you pretended to be. He ran a hand through his hair. I was under pressure. So you sold me, I said calmly. His voice dropped. I was scared of failing. I was scared of losing myself, I said. That shut him up for a moment. You're different, he said quietly. Yes, I answered. I survived. He looked down. If I lose everything, will you feel satisfied? No, I said honestly. Then why continue this? He asked. Because I'm not destroying you, I said. You're doing that yourself. He stepped closer again. You're still the only person who understands me. I shook my head. I used to be. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away immediately. I made mistakes, he whispered. I chose Olivia because she was easier. You were always stronger. That's not love, I said. What is love then? He asked. Not choosing between sisters, I replied. He exhaled slowly. Please don't hate me forever. I don't hate you, I said. I just don't need you. He closed his eyes. You're really letting me fall, aren't you? Yes, I said softly. But I didn't stop his debts from growing. I continued in my thoughts. I knew Alexander was releasing more financial data to the market. Media criticism of Ethan intensified. Investors filed lawsuits. His company stock kept dropping. I can't save you, I told him. I don't want you to save me, he said. I want forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't erase consequences, I said. He nodded slowly. When he left, he turned at the door. If I lose everything, I hope you become happy. I already am starting to be, I replied. After he left, I locked the door and leaned against it. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. And I let karma keep working without my interference. Rain fell heavily on the wedding venue entrance. I stood across the street, watching reporters crowd the doors. Is this really happening? Sophie asked beside me. Yes, I said quietly. It is. Inside the venue, chaos was already spreading. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed non-stop. Is it true Ethan Caldwell is under financial investigation? One reporter yelled. Another shouted, did investors file lawsuits this morning? I watched the headlines on my phone update in real time. Assets frozen. Liquidity crisis. Legal investigation ongoing. Sophie leaned closer. You're very calm. I prepared for this, I said. She studied my face. You don't feel satisfied? No, I said. Just free. Inside the venue, guests started leaving. I saw Ethan standing near the altar, talking angrily on his phone. Victor, he said loudly. You promised support. I heard the name through the open doors. Victor Langford had already issued a public statement. I'm not responsible for Caldwell's financial decisions. Ethan shouted into the phone. Don't do this to me. The call ended. He slammed his hand against the wall. Olivia ran toward him. What's happening? They froze my accounts, he said. All of them. She went pale. But the wedding? He didn't answer. Reporters rushed closer. Mr. Caldwell. Comment on the fraud allegations. Leave me alone, he shouted. I watched silently from across the street. Sophie whispered, Do you want to go inside? No, I said. I've already said goodbye. Inside, Olivia started crying loudly. This can't be happening today. Ethan grabbed her arms. Stay calm. How? She cried. Everyone is watching. Guests were leaving rapidly. My mother and father walked outside slowly. My mother finally saw me across the street. She walked toward me. Bella, she said softly. Yes. I replied. I'm sorry, she said. We were wrong to push you toward him. I studied her face. Do you mean that? She hesitated. We were afraid of losing status. I lost more than status, I said quietly. My father joined her. You built something stronger than we expected. That's called survival, I said. He nodded slowly. We are proud of you. The words felt strange. Not warm. Not painful. Just accepted. Inside the venue, Ethan grabbed the microphone. This wedding is still happening, he said loudly. No one clapped. No music started. Olivia whispered, Ethan, people are leaving. He looked around the emptying hall. Reporters kept filming. I heard one reporter say, Caldwell's company is collapsing faster than expected. I felt no hatred watching him struggle. Just distance. Sophie said, you could stop this, you know. No, I replied. He chose this path. She nodded. You've changed. Yes, I said. I stopped trying to save people who won't save themselves. Inside, Ethan turned toward Olivia. This is your fault too, he said suddenly. She gasped. Mine. You pushed me to expand too fast, he said. They started arguing loudly. I turned away. My phone buzzed. A message from Alexander. Congratulations. The market responds well to stability. I typed back. You made sure of that. He replied. You made the decision. I smiled slightly. Behind me, I heard police officers arrive to serve legal documents. Ethan's voice grew louder. You can't do this. I can, a lawyer said. And I am. The wedding was officially cancelled. No vows spoken. No celebration. Just silence replacing promises. Sophie touched my arm. Ready to leave? Yes, I said. As we walked away, I didn't look back. For the first time, I wasn't the girl left behind at the altar. I was the woman who had already walked away before the betrayal could hurt me again. Ethan disappeared from public view. Olivia moved overseas. The headlines stopped mentioning their names. But my phone stayed quiet in a different way. Peaceful. Not lonely. I was in my office when Sophie walked in. You look different, she said. How? I asked. Calmer, she said. Less like you're waiting for something to hurt you. I smiled. That's the goal. She sat across from me. You know Ethan left the country, right? I know, I said. Alexander told me. Later that evening, Alexander came to my office. He didn't sit immediately. You handled everything exactly as planned, he said. I didn't plan everything, I replied. Some things just happened. He crossed his arms. Was it worth it? The question stayed in the air. I leaned back in my chair. Revenge didn't heal my scars. He waited. But it gave me justice, I continued. He nodded slowly. Justice and peace are different things. Yes, I said. I'm learning that. He walked to the window. You could keep pushing. Destroy more of his remaining connections. I could, I said. But, he asked. But I don't want to live like that anymore, I said. He turned to me. You're changing. I hope so, I replied. Sophie texted me. International expansion proposal approved. I smiled. That's good news, I said aloud. Alexander looked at me. You're moving your company overseas. Yes, I said. Growth matters more than revenge now. He studied me. You're forgiving yourself. That made my chest tighten. I loved blindly, I said. I ignored warning signs. I blamed myself for being too trusting. You were not wrong for loving, he said quietly. I was wrong for losing myself inside it, I replied. He nodded. That's maturity. Later that night, I stood on my apartment balcony. City lights shimmered below. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Bella, Ethan's voice said. I stayed quiet. I just wanted to hear your voice, he said. What do you want, Ethan? I asked. Silence. I'm not happy, he said finally. That's not my responsibility, I replied gently. I know, he said. I just wanted to apologize. You already did, I said. Not properly, he said. I chose status over love. Yes, I said. I hope you're happy, he said. I'm starting to be, I answered. He breathed shakily. Goodbye, Bella. Goodbye, I said. I hung up slowly. My chest felt heavy but light at the same time. Sophie called next. Are you okay? Yes, I said. Strangely yes. She laughed softly. That's growth. I looked at the stars above the city. I forgave myself tonight, I said. For what? She asked. For loving someone who didn't know how to love me back. She was quiet for a moment. That's your rebirth. Yes, I said softly. I stayed on the balcony for a long time. Not thinking about revenge. Not thinking about betrayal. Just thinking about building a life where I was enough. Months passed quickly. I stood on a large stage under bright lights. Miss Isabella Hartley, the host said, CEO of Hartley Global Innovations. Applause filled the hall. I walked forward, heart beating fast but steady. Alexander stood beside me and whispered, You look confident. I am, I said quietly. You earned this, he said. No, I replied. We earned this. He smiled slightly. Equal partners, remember. Always, I said. The host handed me the award trophy. Any words for the audience? I stepped closer to the microphone. I started as someone afraid of losing love, I said. Now I understand something different. Reporters in the front row started raising cameras. What did you learn? One shouted. I smiled. That love shouldn't cost your identity. Murmurs spread through the audience. Another reporter asked, Do you regret the past scandal involving Ethan Caldwell? I took a slow breath. No, I said. Some losses are lessons. More flashes from cameras. Did you forgive him? Someone asked. I forgave myself, I said. Alexander whispered. Good answer. I continued speaking. I spent too long thinking I had to save people to be loved. A reporter called out, Are you still in contact with Caldwell? No, I said calmly. He is building his own life. I am building mine. Applause started again, slower this time, more respectful. After the ceremony, Sophie hugged me backstage. You sounded powerful up there, she said. I felt powerful, I replied. She smiled. Remember when you cried over broken promises? I remember, I said. I don't live there anymore. Alexander joined us. Investors want to celebrate tonight. Dinner? I asked. Yes, he said. But not business dinner. Good, I said. I want normal life conversations. He laughed softly. Like what? Like what you eat when you're stressed, I said. Coffee, he replied immediately. We walked outside together. The city air felt cooler, fresher. My company is expanding internationally next quarter, I told him. I know, he said. I reviewed the plan. You always do, I said. That's why this works, he said. Trust, not control. I nodded. I learned that the hard way. My phone buzzed once. Unknown message. I saw your award speech. I'm proud of you. Unknown. I didn't reply. I turned off my phone and slipped it into my bag. Was that him? Alexander asked quietly. Yes, I said. You didn't answer. No, I said. Because I'm not living in that story anymore. He held out his arm, ready to start the new one. Yes, I said, smiling. We walked forward together. Not as lovers saving each other. Not as enemies. Just two people building something stronger than past pain. And I felt free. I stood on my apartment balcony, watching the city breathe at night. Sophie called me. You're thinking again, aren't you? Always, I said. Just about different things now. Like what? She asked. Like the girl I used to be, I said quietly. The one who died that night. Silence. You sound peaceful, she said. I am, I replied. If she could see me now, she would say, you finally learned to love yourself. Sophie laughed softly. You always deserved that. I know now, I said. Footsteps approached behind me. Alexander said, talking to the past again. Not the past, I corrected. Just remembering. He stood beside me. Do you regret anything? I regret losing myself, I said. Not loving him. He nodded. That's growth. I learned something important, I continued. Betrayal can destroy you. Or rebuild you. And you chose, he asked. I chose to rebuild, I said. He smiled. Good answer. I leaned against the railing. I don't regret loving once. But, he asked gently. But I will never abandon myself again, I said firmly. He raised his glass of wine. To you. To me, I repeated. I looked at the city lights and felt calm. This life is mine, I said softly. And you're finally living it, Alexander replied. I smiled. I wasn't the girl who cried in silence anymore. I was the woman who chose herself first.